Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm great, thanks, Sarah. Fantastic to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh,
Brilliant.
no, absolutely. Thank you to you for agreeing to this. It's been a very long time since you and I have spoken, but I do follow you on Facebook, and I've always admired your work.
Well, thank
And
you.
it's just fantastic to reconnect with people all over the world, and especially people like yourself.
It's lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for saying that. And we had an enlightening time, didn't we, once over in Bangkok many, many years ago when we first met. And the work continues. We started something there called New Beginnings, didn't we? And we had a healing centre there. And it really was a beginning of sorts for all of us, I think, in our
Oh,
own personal developments, wasn't it? Personal development
absolutely.
journeys. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's quite interesting because anyone who's been watching a series of interviews knows I interviewed Jazz and yourself,
Yeah.
Jazz and Peter, and I were the owners of New Beginnings. And yeah, I think for all four of us, our lives have taken quite interesting paths since then. But I think to kind of come back and reconnect at this time is it feels quite special, actually. It feels like there's something about what's happening now that's creating these opportunities to reconnect with people. And you're all the way over the other side of the world. You're in Thailand.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I know there's a few glitches with Zoom, but thank God for technology that we can actually do this, and we can talk, and we can have this kind of connection. It'd be much better if we were in the same room, of course, but
Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? And one of my prayers at this time is that will come back, that we have the opportunity to be connecting with each other. Because as you'll hear with what I want to talk about, I think one of the most important things that humanity needs to hold on to is love. And separating ourselves and keeping ourselves afraid of each other is diametrically opposed to love. And okay, you could argue that somebody's controlling that, and that there's us against them. But regardless of that, the truth is, we as a race of humans need love. We absolutely need love. And I have a little technique that I think will help for us to get to closer to that place. Yeah.
Before you do that, though, I think people would be quite interested to know kind of who you are and what is it you basically do. Because not everyone follows you.
Well, I'm a life coach now, but I also have my own healing system. So I had a health problem some time back, about 8 years ago. I developed chronic psoriasis. It was so bad for 6 years, and all of the doctors were putting me on steroid creams. And I broke down with my mum one night. I said, I can't live like this. I was in so much pain. It was really tremendously painful, and life just wasn't nice. It just wasn't nice for me. So everyone on the internet said, you need to cut out this, that, and the other. And I did all of that. Nothing much changed at first, but over time, because I've had this healing system for many, many, many years.
Yeah, well, I did a training with you. I took your course.
Yeah, I've had it for many years.
Incredible.
And I tried to drop it because I got into coaching and I made more money from the coaching. Plus, I didn't have to travel because people would talk to me in this manner. So I tried to drop it, just wouldn't go. And I have a big following in India, and they really invited me. Long story short, they invited me over. But when I went over, what had happened, because of my skin problem, I started to use the healing system on myself every single day, and my skin got better, and it's gone. It's miraculous to me. Now, I also don't drink alcohol. I'm 95% vegan now as well. So all of these are contributing factors, of course. Plus, I talked with lots of healers. So I'm not saying that it was only my healing system. I went out to heal this, and I've healed it, which I had to do as a healer. But basically, I've got a more authentic story now with my healing modality, because everything's gotten better in my life, not just my skin. Everything's gotten better. And what I realized is putting light into myself every day enlightened me. It has brought more awareness to me, and it has enabled me to see my truth more, because it's brought me into the world that I'm in. So the question was, what do I do? I'm a healer and I'm a life coach, and I'm in the process of writing a book at the moment. But I'm all about helping people. I think that it's the greatest gift to be able to help somebody else. And of course, you know, in all of the New Age scriptures, they all say that your vibration creates your outside world. So if I feel good regularly, my outside world is going to be good. It's as simple as that. And because I'm the only one that's ever experiencing me, as we all are, there's nobody else that experiences me. Everything I look at, hear, taste, smell, feel, think about is all an internal experience. There's nothing actually that I know of that's happening outside of me. Nothing. There's not one thing in my entire life. So from my point of view, I am everything because I'm the only thing experiencing the everything. Now, I know you all exist, the people I interact with, but from my internal point of view, it's just a 360-degree movie with feelings attached to it and thoughts and consciousness. So there's only me happening. So my only ever work is to infuse this system, this energy processing system that has consciousness and a physical reality to it. My only ever work is to make it feel good, because when I make it feel good, everything on the outside reflects that. There's nobody on your thing out there that's doing anything to me. It's my interpretation of everything. So if I know that, I've got power again. If I think that I'm being influenced by anything on the outside world too much, then I'm a victim to whatever that is, which is very good information at this particular point.
It really is. And this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to talk to you, because, you know, I know obviously the work that you did when I knew you many years ago, you know, was really, really powerful. And as I said, I have seen a lot of your posts, and they always resonate with me. And it very much is about what are you feeding yourself in terms of information, and what are you looking into. And fear has been, you know, it is a way of controlling people.
It is.
If we buy into it.
Yes, so what we've got to look at is the political system is an outer manifestation of the mental part of our life. We are physical beings, but we have what you could say as an emotional body. Within that physical realm, there's an emotional part to me. Now, you know yourself, anybody that's ever been emotional will know that when...
Emotional? Never.
Yeah, anybody, right? Whenever emotion's going strong, the physical disappears, the mental disappears, the rationale disappears. If you're desperately sad in those moments where it's really painful, the only thing that's happening is the emotional body. If you think about it, Carl Jung said we're a tiny bit conscious. He said you put a little dinghy on the Pacific Ocean or in an ocean. The dinghy is the conscious part of you, and the ocean, the unconscious. So really, we're not the conscious part. Okay, reconnecting?
We're reconnecting. Won't interfere with recording. Yeah.
So we're a feeling body. Is it still being recorded yet?
Yep, it's going, yep.
Okay. So we are a feeling body with a little conscious part to it. And the feeling body, if the conscious part is not aware of the feeling body being so massive makes life the way it makes it. It just does it. It automatically walks around to connect with all the other feelings that are reciprocating with the frequency of the feeling body inside. So my work to turn this computer on and make it powerful, I've got to learn how to bring my attention from the mental part that's a story to the feeling part. Right now, the mental part, that's what your tribe taught you are. First 7 years of your life, you're trained to be what your tribe says you are so that you'll fit into the tribe. And then if you watch TV, look, it costs $20 million plus to have a 30-second advert on a World Cup final. They don't just give $20 million away for nothing. 30 seconds is enough to get millions of people to buy this soap powder or whatever it is. So if you're watching this TV all the time, there's subliminal messages in all the movies. There's subliminal messages in the language that is used to direct you. We've got to look at this. So politics, as I started with, is an outer manifestation of the mental part of life. So the mental part of you is designed to see things as separate. So there's this and there's that. There's the woman and the man. The woman can't exist without the man and vice versa. The man can't exist without the woman. Many people will disagree with that. But in truth, for the sake of humanity, we need men and women, right? We obviously do. And the sun can't exist without, and that's the wrong analogy, the day can't exist without the night. They just wouldn't be what they are without the opposing. So essentially, when we go above that, we come above the politics that says the day is better than the night, or the night's better than the day, or the Republicans are better than the Democrats, or the Conservatives are better than the Labour, right? But so politics always separates, always. So as long as we use the system that is political, we'll be divided. It doesn't matter which side you're on, it's totally irrelevant. Now, if there's somebody or something above that that sees that, it's easy to control a divided population. Look what's happening at the moment. We're being completely separated from each other. So I want to get you, before you go, if you're thinking I'm coming from a conspiracy,
sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Everybody's online, so it keeps dropping out. It doesn't affect the recording, don't worry.
Okay, great. So regardless of which side you're on or what you believe in, the truth is that we're being separated from each other. So what we've got to do, we've got to realize that let's look at the creation that we have at the moment. So we've all got our individual creations in life because we do create reality. So the energy that we are reflects back with life. That's how we get to awaken ourselves, by looking at the patterns out there to find out what's actually happening inside. That's the process of enlightenment. Without the physical realm to see this stuff, we wouldn't have the impetus to go in. That's why challenges are so good. So that's the individual creation, but there's also the collection of people. If we go from the separateness of men and women, of black and white, of Asian and Western, of religion, of politics, and all the different beliefs, if we go beyond that and we look at that, there's actually one race of humans. I'm not the first to say this, of course, but there's one race. There's one race, and that race has one consciousness also. It has many individual consciousness depending on the tribe, but the race of humanity has one consciousness only. And everything that happens within that race is part of that one consciousness, which is why we need to all see that we're all responsible for everything that's happening, not directly at the conscious level, but as a race of humans, of course we're all responsible, because the one race has created what? A virus. Now look, when enlightenment happens, this is the process of enlightenment, means that we look inside, we find what's dark, we bring it to consciousness, and then we move beyond it. That is what's happening at the race consciousness, at the manifestation that the race has created. What we're looking at, whether you believe he did it, they did it, or it was just an accident, it's irrelevant. The truth is we have here a shutdown, a lockdown where people are able to slow down and look, and there's all the problems that are coming with the lockdown, but also we're looking at a virus that's always been in the consciousness, always. It's just been so unaware. And what do we see that the virus does? Well, it makes us afraid of each other. That's definitely been the truth in the history of humanity. Always been afraid of each other, need to protect ourselves from each other. That's always been the mental story, right? So we have to build more wars, and who's going to have more money will have more ability to protect each other from each other. So we're seeing the virus, we're at the core of a virus of how humanity is dealing with itself currently. It's always been that way. We've never come together. The most obvious thing for us to do, the biggest elephant in the room, is that we have this incredible opportunity, not just now, we've always had it, but maybe now we'll look at it. We've got this massive opportunity to learn to drop the walls of separation and love each other. Now, the way we do that, we need to bring our state of consciousness from the mental level that has been trained to see, like, look, everyone watches TV. I did as a kid. What's on tonight? Would be the common question in my home. What's on tonight? What's on tonight? If nobody knew about a TV, what the hell would that mean? What's on tonight? What's on? What's off tonight? What's on tonight? If you didn't know what a TV was, what a strange thing, but that was a common question to me. What's on tonight? What's on the TV? How can I program myself? So we're all subject to this incredible brainwashing program. We've got to pull from the mental, and we've got to come from the heart. Now, I'll tell you how to do that in a minute. And it's very simple. It doesn't cost any money. Here's the other thing. As long as money's part of this system, then we have a value on ourselves. So we don't see ourselves as unique, unbelievably, incredibly creative beings. We don't, because there's a financial value on my shoulder, as it is on yours, as it is on everyone. It's the biggest illusion that our race needs money to survive. It's pathetic. It's unbelievable. Our race doesn't need money. We just need to help each other. But because money's involved, greed happens. And you see, the thing is, we are here purposefully to experience the separation. So it's a big setup. Before we came, we said, I want to experience lower life vibrations, because where we're from, the life force that I am, that flows through me, that determines things, that is conscious, that life force can never die. It couldn't. How could it die? By definition, it wouldn't be life anymore. So life within me can't die. What it uses to experience this will die. The body, the suit will die, but the life force that I am cannot die. So when I'm up there, I look and I say, I need to experience this separate reality. And I don't need to. I want to go and experience this reality that's not normal, where things are separate from each other, where there are negative emotions, where greed and power and manipulation and control and jealousy and hatred and anger and all of those things that we're not used to. We come here and we have this temporary opportunity to, number one, experience that, but also to enlighten. This is why Buddha said he cannot go until we all go, because we're all the same thing. Now, there's an opportunity. It's an unprecedented opportunity right now for consciousness to wake up. There's two scenarios, really, for enlightenment. One scenario in enlightenment is where we collectively blow each other up. In one go, we finally desecrate and annihilate the entire planet. That will be a collective enlightenment, but it'll be an unconscious enlightenment, because we'll all wake up like shockingly, we're all actually love. We'll all wake up at the same time, and it's still a great experience. But the one we're here for is to consciously enlighten, where we all realize that we're all the same. We're just in these different suits that make us look different, but we're all the same. We're all made of love. And for separation to exist, we have to have those with all the most, and we have to have those with all the least. There has to be control and manipulation. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a separate reality that we wanted to come here for. So the answer is not to fight, otherwise we stay in the separateness. The answer is to move above the politics and come to the heart. We pull the energy down to the heart. Now, how do I do that? This is the important point. And you can do it starting from now. This is what's really great. And it's not going to cost you anything. So you know I'm telling you the truth, because I don't get anything from this. There's not a hidden agenda here. There's a desire to help you. Okay? And so what I've got to do is, what I know is that when I feel good, life gets better for me. Every time I feel good, it's always good. Right? Think about it. There's never been a time in your life when you felt good and it wasn't good. Right? So feeling good is the answer to everything. Right?
And I just want to just reiterate what you're just saying, and almost kind of from the opposite way as well, which is, so I started following the Ho'oponopono. I know you talked about it 20 odd years ago to me, but and I was following a training, and it was Dr. Lou from Hawaii was talking about it, and he just said this thing, and I just thought, if we all recognize that, it would be so powerful, which is, have you ever noticed whenever there's trouble in the world, you're there?
Exactly. Whenever there's a problem in my life, I'm always there.
So you have to look at it from both ways. Absolutely. It's like, yeah. Right. And people might say, well, of course everything's great when I'm great, because, you know, but what about all the other stuff? That when it's bad, that's not me, that's everybody else, that's the world doing something to me. And we go back into that victim mode.
That's it. And that's the key, is to realize that if I'm experiencing it as shit, it's me experiencing it. I can get a million friends to agree with me, and we might all say, yeah, she's bloody da-da-da-da-da, and she's terrible. But the thing is, I'm still the only one experiencing it. So if I'm not experiencing life as great, I'm the only one who can change that. right? And what I also know is that when my vibration raises to a loving vibration, everything on the outside world gets better. And the more constant I can keep my vibration positive and loving, the more my life will get better. So how do I do that? There's a guaranteed way. Guaranteed way. Yeah, it's so simple, but it's a guaranteed way to make myself feel better. So Sarah, if you loved me with everything that you had, whether and everybody loved me, if I didn't know what love was, then it wouldn't matter, right? You could love me until the cows come home, but if I didn't know what it meant to experience love, if I'd never experienced love, even though, and I didn't know how to open to it, it doesn't matter who loved me, I wouldn't experience it. So what I say that because the outside is never, ever a guarantee to make you feel good. And yet everybody drives in the material world to try and get things or get relationships so that they'll feel good. But there's no guarantee there. It can't be, because it's an internal experience always. So the guaranteed way, I've first and foremost got to find a way to make myself feel good. And this is the guaranteed way. When I do something kind or loving to the environment I find myself in, I will feel good every single time. 100% of the time. When I say, what would love do in this moment I find myself in? Now that could be to clear my desk. That could be to smile at the staircase. You know, that could be to smile at myself, to get off my ego. That could be to help somebody. It could be to give money to somebody, to a charity. Now, it's never to make you look better. It's only to make you feel better. So it has to be an authentic giving. So you need to plaster this up all over your house. What would I do if I was love right now? Because every time I bring my consciousness to that, I'm essentially coming off that program that has me believe right now the program is having us all believe in fear. You've got to see that as truth, whether you believe this or that. Forget the politics. The truth is we're going into fear. It is not good for our race. It is detrimental to our race. We've got to get back to love. Sorry, go ahead.
I actually think you recommended this book to me. And if it wasn't you, I can't think who it was, but I definitely feel like it was you, which is the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying.
Yes, it was, yes.
And the one big takeaway really that I got out of that book, I mean, obviously there's huge wisdom in it, but the biggest thing is that particularly in the Western world, we are so afraid of dying that we don't live. Yeah. And you know, people would say to me, so you don't mind kind of being out there and you might risk dying. It's going, well, I think if the trade-off is to not live whilst I am alive,
exactly,
then yes, actually, I would do that. I still want to connect. I still want to get back to that human experience. That kind of, as you were saying at the beginning, we're kind of being denied. We're being denied the very fabric of who we are as physical and emotional beings is to be connected, and having this huge divide and keeping everybody separate is absolutely, and it's using this fear of dying or of inadvertently killing somebody else. I think actually that's the interesting dynamic in certain countries. It's very much about the morals. It's like you're being amoral if you want to kind of come out of this, that you're now going to have the death of somebody potentially on your hands.
And can you see how somebody or something that wanted to control, the only thing that will ever heal us, that will overthrow everything, is love. It's the only thing. It's our way home. And as I said earlier, it's the biggest elephant in the room. We've got to drop the walls of separation and see from a higher place above the politics. Look, go past your politics and say, here's the thing, you can still have your politics, you can still have your money. You know, the greatest respect for people who've made a lot of money. I'm not saying, I think one day we'll have to drop money because we don't need it, we won't need it. But the greatest respect for, if you've worked your bollocks off and you've got loads of money because of it, great. I don't want you to drop that. What I'm suggesting is that I think your life will be better if you start infusing love into your system whenever you can remember to do it, because all that will do is will attract more love. Eventually, nice things will come in, and a vibration that is sort of being that is vibrating at the high level of love. There's no disease that can penetrate that. I'm sorry, but there isn't. And I'm not a doctor to say that's true. I just wholeheartedly do not believe
there's a lot of
vibration of love.
there's a lot of research out there as well. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's quite interesting because now you've got, you know, on one side we're trying to keep people healthy and safe by being separate, and yet everybody does know that stress, loneliness, anger, you know, these emotions that we are experiencing reduce the immune system in the body.
They do.
So we are actually doing something that is everything feels counterintuitive at this time. I have to say, it really does feel very counterintuitive. You know, so there's this whole thing of we know that fear is actually going to undermine any good really that we're doing by staying separate. You know, it's actually healthy people will be there if they're buying into this and they're really thinking about it. And look, we're all human at the end of the day. This is a human experience we're all having. It's, as you said, this is a very unique opportunity because everybody kind of is having this experience. We're all in this together now. You know, and this idea of using fear to keep us safe is actually, it's actually going to achieve, you know, the opposite. And I do believe that. And I think one of the things I just want to, because when some people hear the word love, you're not talking about the love that we normally think of, which is afraid of.
No.
If you do this for me, then I'll love you.
Yeah,
you know, if you're that person, then I'll love you. It's not about that, is it?
Not at all. And you know, the highest form, let's call it love. Some people call it God. Some people attach names to it as like Jesus and Allah and Buddha, you know, but it's a high vibrational consciousness, really. And religions in their essence, in their purest essence form, are great because they help people move to a higher vibration. But when you've got a religion that says one side is right and one, if you do this, it's right, and the other, that's not what love does. Love says, you know, I'm sorry. If you talk to love and say, I'm sorry, I did this wrong, love will say, oh, come here, let me love you. You know, that's what love would do to anything. It just says it's okay.
There's no punishment.
Yeah, there's no punishment. You know, love is a vibration that is pure and it is a source of infinite intelligence. And that source comes through wisdom, it comes through poetry, it comes through music, it comes through your spiritual chanting, it comes through the church in different ways, it comes through the religions in different ways. It's coming in all the time, and we've never consciously seen that we've got an opportunity to love each other. We just keep fighting each other, and we will as long as we stay in the mental band of the physical realm. So before we can get to the heart band collectively, we've got to get to the heart band individually. And so the way that I do that is I plug out of the system as often as I can. Stop watching the mainstream media. Stop watching all media for that sake. Look, we carry around the things now. You know, I program myself with the phone. You've got to reduce the amount of information you look at. You've got to pull out of that system and keep pulling back 1,000 times a day. You say, what's the actual truth? So the story will say this, that, and the other's going on about my life. And then the actual truth is, where are my feet? Where am I sat? Which room am I in? What does it feel like to have my hands the way they are? What does it feel like with the temperature on my skin? What's the taste in my mouth? What am I actually looking at? This is an undeniable truth for me looking at my space, right? It's an undeniable truth. I cannot, there's no politics there. There's nothing to debate. I'm in this reality. And if I look clearly and see this reality, I'll say, oh, there's nothing to be afraid of. And in 57 years, there's never been anything to be afraid of. You know, I've got that much experience. That's my age. And so as you've got whatever age you are, you've got that much experience.
And I mentioned at the beginning of our call this morning, you don't look a day older than last time I saw you. And I know that is very much down to your practice as well, though. Well,
thank you. I really appreciate that. But yeah, you know, I think the more aware you become, obviously, the more love I'm putting into my system, that's going to help. Of course it is. If my direction, if I'm putting my attention on what is lovely about this? What's going to happen to my cells? I'm putting my focus on what's lovely, or what would love do now. If I'm looking there more often, and don't get me wrong, I'm not always there. You know, when I'm driving with the ties, that sometimes completely disappears, you know.
And I have two children, so absolutely, they are the
yeah.
test in terms of love.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So it's not always there. But what a great tool for me to come back to and say, what would love do right now? Because then I'm focusing on my attention. Of course, where my attention goes, energy flows. If I put my attention on love, what would love do right now? Of course, energy flows to what would love do. All of the things related to love within my brain and my cells start happening to me. Guess who benefits from that? Me, but anyone around me also, because I'll start looking at, if I was love, what would I do right now? And now, when do you do it? You do it especially when you're not love. Right? When it's not, when you're not feeling good, you wake up. You know, and this is the work you were talking about that you're developing, training us to see which parts of the brain can help us to wake up. You know, so you wake up, you use the tools that you've got, and you say, what would love do? I know I can be loved. What would it do? And if you're so in your strop and you can't do it right there, you say, okay, I can't do it right now, but at least I'm posing the question. I'll pose it again. What would love do? Because then there'll be a little fight. The little love angel's going to go, hey, you're being an idiot, you know, because love wouldn't do this. And eventually.
Isn't it interesting though, that as you said, when you're in a strop and you're at, you know, I did Ian Clark actually interviewed me after I interviewed him. He was very kind enough to say, well, why don't we talk about something that you know? And I talked a bit about the 6 human needs. It's the work that Tony Robbins uses of Chloe Madanis, and I love her work. And that need for certainty, we're born with it. But if we don't transcend beyond it, then we're going to have a very, very tough life, because that need for certainty is about control. It's about who's right, who's wrong. You know, it's listening to somebody going, well, I believe what they say. And if you don't believe what they say, then you're wrong. And to me, one of the things that's quite interesting in this time is that I'm somebody who is not really 100% sure of anything. Because how can we be? I don't, as you said right at the beginning, you are the only person having your experience. I am the only person having my experience. Everybody is coming from their model of the world. Everyone's coming from their experience, from their vibration, where even at that moment, you know, they might be saying one thing, but half an hour later, when you're out of that strop, when your anger has subsided, how many times have we looked at ourselves and gone, what the hell was that about? What was it really about? You know, because we were so certain in that moment. And I think the more we can drop the need for certainty and to be right, I think it's easier to do, you know, and maybe what you're doing is a way of doing that, of dropping that certainty.
Yeah.
The ball dropped. So Zoom obviously was.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think absolutely with what you're saying. You see, when we look at it from the mental place, there's always politics. There's a righteous stance because of our tribal upbringing. But so we've got to come off that. The actual certainty, there is a certainty that comes from knowing self. There is, because the connection to you and God, whatever God is for you, the divine, becomes so apparent that you can then trust yourself. That's certainly been what's happened in my evolution. I didn't trust myself, so I needed other people's validation. That still plays in certain areas of my life. You know, I'm not as strong in some areas as in others in terms of trusting the process. But with meditation, and meditation, of course, it's a technique to bring my attention here. Remember what I said, this computer, it's the most incredible suit. I mean, it's the most unbelievable computer suit that you're dropped into, and it's not looked at like that.
I heard a great expression, which is we have to look at our human operating system.
Yeah, we really do.
And we've got to, yeah, and guess what? There's a bug in it. There's a virus in it.
That's it. There's a but it's coming out. That's what I was saying. We collectively brought it out to wake up, but to move beyond it in the way that will be best for humanity, I believe, is to start looking from a place of love, not from a place that's going to benefit somebody financially. you know, this manipulation that's going on. But look, again, that's causing the fight. You know, I shouldn't really say that, because we need to move above all of that and get back to, we just have to do it individually.
I just think you put it beautifully, which is when you're looking for the truth, yes, I am here. I can see my hands. I can feel my hands. And I call this the breathing space, because breath is undeniable.
There you go.
Breath is truth. We need breath. And I was listening to Dan Siegel, and it got very technical. He kind of went off on a really kind of a rabbit hole, as I would call it, of neuroscience. But what he was talking about is that breath is the only thing that we actually experience both internally and externally.
But do we experience it externally? Because I can experience it.
We're bringing, well, we're bringing it's something that we bring the outside world in through our body, and we're expelling out. So we have this, and without it, without breath, we wouldn't be here. Absolutely not. You know, so that so many techniques, meditation. You know, I love that question. You know, what would love do? Yeah. You know, in this situation, what would love do? And I think you cannot but answer that question when you ask it. Your brain knows the answer. Your deepest brain, the deepest wisdom is absolutely there, and to kind of transcend and to dive deep at the same time.
Exactly. And it might take a little bit of time before you consciously follow its guidance, but as you quite rightly said, it immediately it knows what love would do, and it isn't the thing that you're doing if you're angry or emotional.
No, it can never be, or blaming, and the stories. We all have the stories. I have stories, you have, everyone. You know, I keep telling to my kids, you know, when they want to tell me their stories, I'm like, the story is irrelevant, because his story and your story, as far as you're both concerned, they are the right stories. It's what is the result, what is the outcome of actually how you're feeling and how you've behaved. And unless that outcome is exactly what you designed it to be, then you need to go back and check about, you know, where are you really coming from. Exactly. Mark, I was trying to keep these kind of to half an hour. I think we've got an hour almost, which is, you know, I think we could talk absolutely all day. If you'd be willing, I'd love to have you back, and we could talk a little bit more.
I'd love to come back. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you so much, really.
So Mark, I'm not going to say stay safe, because I know you will, but stay sane.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm working on it. And you too. I send you a big etheric hug. Thank you, Sarah.
Absolutely. It's just been wonderful. I love your work. And if people want to know more about what you do and things like that, we're going to put some links underneath the video, so people can get in touch with you if they want your help directly, which I would highly recommend. I know you and I worked together many years ago, and you helped me with so many things, and so much of what you taught me, you know, way back when, still is with me. You know, it planted a lot of seeds, and it was your meditation group actually that I went to right at the beginning, so it really kicked off my own spiritual journey in a big way. So I'm eternally grateful.
I loved it. Thank you so much. You made my day. Thank you very much. Really, it made my day. Thank you.
Mark, we will chat again soon for definite.
Thank you. You take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.